Yeah, starting a tough 3-game stretch, but we like scheduling hard. I think we get our guys up for the games. We get deficiencies exposed. We can work on them. I mean, Purdue's arguably the best team in the country, and if they're not, it's probably Arizona, who we also play in this 3-game stretch. So, yeah, it's going to be good for our guys. I think we've had a good couple days of practice. It's going to be something a little different than face anybody else we face all year. Zach Edey presents some real problems. I mean, he's big and it's pretty much impossible to guard one-on-one. So they're constantly, you're constantly having to trap him, play out of it. There's been a few teams maybe tried to do it without trapping him, but he's very hard to guard one-on-one. So, and he's also a good passer. So and they've done a good job putting shooting all around him. So there's a reason they're one of the best teams in the country, maybe the best team in the country, and we've got our hands full here up in Toronto.
Yeah, Coach, just wanted to quickly ask about Grant. Just how did that treatment after the game go? Is he going to be able to play on Saturday?
Yeah, he hasn't practiced yet, but we're going to try him tomorrow and see how it goes. I mean, it's not an injury that should hold him out longer than a week or two. If he can't go Saturday, I'm very confident he'll be able to play the following week. But he hasn't practiced yet. We just got out of practice, but we're going to see what happens tomorrow, see what it feels like in the morning.
Looking at the Purdue tape, what'd they do well to shut down Iowa's offense?
I mean, look, similar to how we tried to guard with Bediako last year, they've got the ultimate rim protector in Edey. They take away their threes, run them off the line, send them into Edey. They do a good job. I mean, they're schematic-wise, they're a very good defensive team. They know what they're doing. They know what they've got. I do think, and I mean, they were coming off a loss too. So, coming off a loss, they're playing a little harder. They'll still have a loss within their last 2 games when we play them. So, my guess is they're still going to be rather motivated to make some statements. So, we'll probably get a pretty good Purdue team out there Saturday.
Just curious about the travel implications of going to Toronto, visas, passports, customs, all that. How big a chore is that for your ops guy, and what all's involved there?
It is. I mean, we, Josh has done a really good job. We had the foreign trip last summer, so we had a little experience, but Josh wasn't here yet, so this would be his first time handling a foreign trip. Everybody's got their passports. He's make sure we don't get on the plane leaving here without a passport. So, but then it's up there in Toronto. I lived in Buffalo for 6 years. You're going to a foreign country, but it's a lot different than going to Europe. They're used to having a lot of people pass between the U.S. and Canadian border, right up there. So I'm looking forward to it. I got some friends from Buffalo that'll be up at the game. We got some of our former players in Toronto have relatives coming to the game, so it'll be good.
Kind of bouncing off that, I know y'all schedule tough every year. That's been part of your philosophy, but how did this Toronto game kind of come about that this was somewhere y'all wanted to play?
Yeah, I mean, it started with Charles and Zach Edey both being from Toronto, so get the 2 7-footers going against each other. That's where it started. By the time we realized Charles wouldn't be here this year, it was kind of down the path, and we just said, let's go with it anyways, like if they were still willing to do it, even though we didn't have Charles, which they were. Like, I like playing tough teams. I like the venue, so we get Zach Edey's homecoming parade. We're there for it, so we just didn't bring Charles with us for the homecoming parade. But, yeah, that's how this thing started.
What have you seen from the way Northwestern played Purdue, and how much can you take that into your approach?
Yeah, Northwestern's beat them back-to-back years now, so they did a good job. I mean, I watched it. Now we can't implicate all of it. I mean, you got different personnel, but like Northwestern, they did a pretty good job on Edie. I thought they did a really good job attacking them on their offensive end, putting them in tough spots to guard, kind of going at certain defenders on Purdue, and then, they got some breaks they needed too. So that's what has to happen when you beat a good team. You got to be prepared. You got to execute the game plan. Sometimes you need a break or two.
What's the biggest thing you're wanting to learn about your team over this next 3-game stretch?
Yeah, we really need to know how good we can be on defense, to be honest with you. Like, are we going to step up to the challenge when things go wrong? Do we have the fortitude about us to still get stops? If shots aren't going, can we still hang in there? You go back to last year's team, one of our signature wins that carried us a long ways last year was the road win at Houston. We were down 15 in the second half. A lot of things weren't going well. That team was mentally tough enough to hang in there, keep fighting. Our defense kept us in there, and we came back and won the game on the road against one of the best teams in the country. So we haven't seen that yet out of this group. I think it's in there. Will we show it? Now, we don't have 3 road games, but, we've got a neutral with Purdue. We've got a road game with Creighton, and we've got a semi-road game. It's essentially a road game against Arizona and Phoenix. So, we'll definitely be in some hostile environments. And, do we have the mental toughness when things aren't going well to continue to guard, stick with the game plan, don't get discouraged, and then just hang in there and see what happens? Because our offense is good enough to, come back if our defense will keep us in the game. So I'm really looking for how good can our defense get against some of these top offensive teams in the country.